to, and you want to have your own groups and keep the dialogue going, but we did want to propose 3 questions instead of keeping along this path of certainly if you have thoughts related, starting at culinary onto this corner over here, make those known if you want to talk about those, but we're going to try to speed it up a little bit. And we have 3 important questions, I think, that are probably more important to have a dialogue about right now. And if you have to leave at any given moment, I probably should go ahead and just reemphasize, if there's something up on these walls, especially behind you, that you feel as though you can be a part of or want to be a part of, make sure your name is in one of those boxes over there associated with one of those ones. So, who's not here and why? That is the question. First question, and that's locally, nationally, it's related to outside of just artists. Who should have been here that wasn't here? Yeah, and while we say the names, we're going to write them, if that's okay, Wendy? You mind writing these names down? Who wasn't here? And why should they have been? It'd be fun, yeah, anybody. Front? Front Cub. Okay. Front cover. Right. So who's not here and why? Who should have been here?
More young people.
Hey, we're not all. People from the chamber, or young people, front cover.
David Nelson.
David Nelson.
Here, because many cities had to shutter its doors because they can't afford the renovations of the fire marshal.
Is that why he's not here though?
Well, that's why he's not here yet. He's decided to devote himself to
Other things.
business so he can save up money to
Do that again.
do the thing.
Right, and couple along with that, October's event that we're trying to help raise awareness. We're going to do it outside of the space, but shed light to his position.
I know, but I think that's a really important point in that we make sure we don't step on his toes.
Certainly, we've had 4 meetings now with David to make sure that he's excited and he sees that we want to collaborate.
And he is excited.
Definitely.
Okay. So
Yeah. Our next meeting that has yet to be set, we're hoping to do it this week, is to sit down with him and go over just logistics of the 11th event. He and April both. Okay. Anybody else? Who wasn't here? Christy Woods. Woodard. Local or international? Local. That's great. That's great. That's awesome.
Jared Brown.
Jared Brown.
He goes by Wild J. Brown. He's at the top.
Anybody else?
Maybe the proper design team for the web design and all of the young, and they had all of their group.
Did you get that ready? Morales?
Art gallery owners.
Gallery owners.
Yeah, specifically Chris and Christine.
Chris and Christine Bailey.
And also, Bogart down there.
Members of the chamber. Liz. For better halves here.
More representation from the local theater, individual theater groups and dance troupe groups that we do have in the community that maybe don't normally
The
exist.
dance organizations.
Business associations.
Just China.
Just in terms of getting more young people, like all of those artists, I mean, not artists, musicians that play at places where young people go, like they're
musicians?
Building,
What's that?
building.
Bill Jingles.
Schools, local schools, universities. Do we have anyone here from?
I'm a Caddo.
Who's downtown?
So,
Like administration for schools. The state fair. They could have a component.
Farmers market, no.
no. Kevin's done.
Representative from the Boat and Food Group, that's the kind of loose collation of the food truck people.
Tourist Bureau.
Does the Food Truck Fridays encompass all of that?
That is mobile.
That is mobile.
And that's actually, they're doing it downtown on Tuesdays now as well.
Cool.
So that's part of it.
Yes. Yeah, I'm repeating this not only for us, but also for those who are online.
Even when this today was about artists, so what artists are not here today? Some of those other partners are really important partners, but what artists do you want to work with who they're not here today and they need to know about this and their participation, identifies this event. Yeah, we said
Serenity
trio,
Road.
it's not a trio.
Trudeau's online.
Trudeau's online.
Trudeau's online.
Hey, Trudeau!
There's some shout outs. Joshua Chambers, Serenity Love, graphic artists that do advertising.
I don't want us to forget the other half of this question either. Why?
Why? Yeah, we didn't get some answers why. So,
Conrad, guys.
to request that, so explain, for example, what could we have done to get the local musicians?
On the why of it, I had seen a newspaper article about this, but when I tried to find it on y'all's website, I couldn't find it, so I had to call ArtSpace and they had to tell me where it was.
Definitely.
About musicians, some of them are playing today, some played late last night, some will play tonight. So it's a real difficult time for them to come on the weekend. Moon Pie, Jeff Tom just came by, brought another musician. I have two national or international artists that I would like to see. Lee Anderson, the video that I shared with you, I'd like to see her contacted if possible. She's interested. And Pinky Bass, who has local connections. I don't know if Renee is still here. They're actually collaborating together, and it would be awesome to see her contacted. I just really want to make sure that we have women and artists of color represented, because I love white boys, have had a lot of fun in my life with white boys. Honestly, but it's really important that everyone's story gets told, and I think being a city that is predominantly African American, when you have young children of color, single mothers of color, and they see artists of color leading teams, I think that sends a really strong message in this neighborhood, and I just would like to see that considered.
So why don't we have a representation of these various demographics in stronger form today?
I don't know.
I'm sorry, what was the clapping for? I missed that. Tattoo artists.
Yeah, Micah Harold is the person that would be the first person.
Cool.
And like my dogs are a group of women that have a lot of different diversity.
And on another note, I don't want to speak on behalf of Megan and ArtSpace too much, but we have a work in progress exhibit coming that highlights realism in painting, but it's portraiture of those with skin on. And it's Sean Barber, if you're familiar with that.
In terms of outreach, it's really easy to put things out on social media, but unless you have the momentum to go there, like the number of likes on the track Facebook page is really low, like compared to another organization like Robinson who has thousands, less than 500 on the track's website last I saw. So there's got to be there has to be a little bit of a manual process of people sharing and people people, telling other people to go and like it, because if they don't like the page, they're not gonna see it. And if you don't share it, if you don't like the status or the event, other people aren't gonna see it. So there's been a manual process getting started there, but building that base of people who like the page or like the organization is important.
Definitely.
Contacting those artists, I mean, a lot of those artists that they on the board, college, or church, or straight pages.
So it sounds like what I'm hearing kind of over and over again is how information is shared, and feels as though, and I don't know if we budgeted for this, but maybe we should consider it or pull it out of something else. One thing that I witnessed that was very successful for the LA Film Prize was a really straightforward, direct website that's really helped the international community understand, and obviously the draw that it's had has been very successful. That was done by Gorilla, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it may be an investment that we need to think about as we launch and move forward.
It would also be nice if you could use the website on the iPhone.
Certainly.
Can.
So everybody go on Facebook or tweet and like track. That's your
And on top of that, to get a little bit more technical, you can go into the settings and make sure you see all updates. Facebook's algorithm right now makes it very difficult for you to see everything that happens on all the pages you like. So go ahead and make sure that the settings on the track page, if you want to see all updates.
Okay.
And send out publicity shorts that people can send to their groups of friends.
We do send a lot of those out several times a day.
Yes, they do.
And you guys are doing a great job of it. It's just you gotta have the base of people to get out.
I'm working on building that as well.
Chloe DePlacy's left for the reason that she was here today. She wanted to see artists from, specifically from Leadville and Alabama. And so how to reach people that are
Going into the neighborhood. That's very important.
I think on most artists.
Great. Okay. We can keep adding to this. Go ahead.
Some of the old-fashioned advertising is effective. You know, somebody dropped off postcards in my husband's business, and his customers pick them up. If you want to do more artists, then you need to drop stuff off where they can pick it up. Because if they're not getting you electronically, then they need to get you a different way.
How's, going back to the traditional older means of communication with paper, how is Catalyst working as far as the artist community? Is that working? Is Catalyst working? No?
And my comment on advertising, in my community, it might be more effective because a lot of people have the technology, but they're not using it. You know, so the print media, just normal print media, or something like that, before I think it would be effective in the way of communication to the general public, along with the
All right, so I think we're tackling it. Keep this going.
Just one quick question. For the artists that aren't listed in the artist directory, was there an email blast sent out to them or anything about you?
direct mailing.
There's a direct mail.
I wouldn't mind stopping for one quick moment and asking, how many people here found out about this by Facebook? All right? How many people found out about it by getting something in the actual mail? All right?
It's equal. It's equal. Facebook and
How many just word of mouth? Like,
word of mouth.
what?
10% word of mouth.
Well, yeah, so it was about 50-50 in the first bit.
Okay.
Some of those overlap. So that's just all.
We were talking about poster art earlier in those areas that we're not reaching. Is it possible, or are there rules against putting up posters on telephone poles and things like that?
I don't know.
There are rules against it, yeah. Shreveport Green has come out against putting up things on posts. Yeah, there's an editorial on it, and there's a law against that.
Sure. Working with local businesses and just getting the permission to post it. Yeah. Sure. All right, so let's move on to the next question because I've been handed three that were sort of nice and overarching. And I think this is kind of the same. So who do we want to work with locally? Is that sort of the same question? Does that pull anything else?
Alter ego.
Alter ego.
That's the main. Alter ego. Blaze thing.
Barefoot?
Barefoot.
Fiona, you also.
What is it that we're wanting?
Well, this is just in general. Is there a group, and it doesn't necessarily mean a band, it doesn't have to mean a painter or artist, it could be anything. Do we want, is there a specific group, nonprofit, something in town we want?
Moonbot, I've heard Moonbot.
Radio stations?
Yeah, all of, what is it,
Are you now on marketing? I think he's talking about artistically. Who do you want to collaborate with?
It's kind of general, it's still general, but artistically, let's now frame it artistically. Who do we want?
Quiet darkly.
One darkly?
Yeah.
The Renzi Center?
Renzi Center.
Atria.
Atria.
The Dalzell House.
Dalzell House.
Lunch lunch.
Lunch.
Lunch lunch.
Forever Jones?
Forever Jones.
Oh, the Lotus Studio.
The Lotus Studio.
Buddy Flat and Tim Broken.
Buddy Flat Tim Broken.
Great rap.
So the webinar have a few people we want to throw out. They can't hear, I'm not loud enough for you.
I got a great back for you.
Well, I think we obviously need to somehow globally share these notes in a way.
Yes.
So how are we going to do that, Pam?
Google Docs, photographing.
Photographing,
Well, as far as outside photographing, like, can we do a Google Doc?
Yeah.
I love Google Docs.
We can do Google Docs.
All right, we'll do a Google Doc related to these notes.
Academy of Children's Theater.
Children's Theater?
Academy of Children's
Academy of at.
The modified doll. I don't know if I got that already.
The modified dolls?
I did get it. Oh, she did get it.
Okay.
Sorry to read my mind.
I just, so all these things that we've been throwing out, I think it's important if you have a contact for these, or if you feel as though you can assume we already have them, we can always search them out, but it would be helpful if we could get some contact information related to all these people and places.
I don't know if you can work with them or not. Crab Industries, a recycling company, it might be nice to work with them for recyclable art. I think
Craft Industries.
Lowe's and Home Depot for easy paints and things that they.
Okay, throwaway paints at Lowe's, sure. Sherwin-Williams. Cool. Yeah, from a material standpoint, I think that's a good thing to talk about.
Have you gotten in touch with Molotov and Iron Light and any of the other aerosol suppliers?
No.
Because they're
Molotov.
always in Montana, they're always, especially if you've got Shepherd coming.
Yeah.
He's got
His own brand.
his own community can Montana. So,
Right.
I mean, if you're going to be doing a lot of street art, you need to
See if we can get sponsorships.
Yeah.
Well, to address that, when we're talking to some of these artists, they're already thinking along those lines. I think that's part of our hopes that they're gonna step up to the plate.
Josh is saying that a lot of the artists that we've been reaching out to nationally, I'm just thinking, all right. This is weird. I'm just like copying what everybody's saying. So for those who are listening online, Josh was saying those who are going to collaborate with us nationally are already talking about the idea of collaborating with sponsorships as relates to materials.
What about the nonprofits?
Nonprofits. What about?
Are they keyed into using some of these ideas and creating fundraisers out of these events that we're talking about? And these artists who we showcased by the nonprofits, putting together events around the talents.
Proper pairings.
Yes,
Yeah.
putting events around the talents of all of these artists, which will pull them together, showcase them in front of different people.
So what have we already started to do, Wendy, as it relates to this? Have we started a dialogue?
What we know is that, again, we know all the nonprofit organizations organizations in Shreveport Common, and we know all the neighbors, and we have a relationship with them, and our goal is to.
They've been anticipating this.
One component of each of these 12 months is to shed light on the good work that that organization is doing and bring them into the residency in some way so that they're interacting. Now, in terms of fundraisers for them, I would say that's a horse of a different color. That I think it's probably a little bit more like year 2, but I love the fact that we're all thinking long term. That's great.
Would it be possible to also work in the social issues at the same time, like have someplace like the Central ARTSTAION come in, and they provide free glucose screenings and blood pressure, and they work with homeless individuals and low-income people on how to increase their access to healthcare? If we could fit something like that into the artistic as well.
Yeah. I think that's a good challenge for artists when they're putting together proposals to really find a meaningful connection related to those who are already neighbors.
But I think that's good, but I think sometimes if we don't just say that making art is enough, then we devalue what we do as artists. Art is enough. This neighborhood has great challenges. But if you can show people how beautiful they are and where they live is full of beauty, then that's enough. And then the other agencies can take care of that. Because as artists, we don't have to save the world. We just have to show you the potential that you can help yourself. I mean, I think we can dilute what art is. That's a real challenge.
I agree.
I totally agree. Completely agree. The one thing that you don't want this to turn into is sort of when the fire station has an open house and you have everybody show up and there's bouncy houses and there's this and there's that and you're sort of like, what is all this? Is a snow cone stand? Okay, that's cool. That works for open house for a fire station. But we're not doing that. We need to make sure that we are incorporating and showcasing the art first and foremost. But if there's a meaningful connection, I think it makes it more valuable. And if whether it's just in how the creation of the art happens, and that we're taking those people in that are in the community to help with the creation of the art, or something, is awesome. And that's just an added bonus. It's not. We're not saying, and I'm certainly not saying that you have to do that.
I had a quick question.
Yes.
I know Habitat and Fuller Center, they've been doing work in Allendale a lot. Are they doing anything in this particular area?
I don't know.
At Fuller Center, right now, the housing piece of it is not, let me just say, right now the housing piece that we are working on is the artist, the workspace housing, and that at this time does not involve Fuller or Habitat. But we are great friends with both of those organizations and anticipating additional housing as we begin to branch out. There's not a lot of individual houses in Shreveport Common. When you just start looking at it, there are under 10 individual houses. So it's a little odd, but yes, there is.
There's a very active group that I'm involved with, which is I-49 Move It, because the I-49 connector is going to destroy part of Allendale if it actually goes through, even tearing down some of these Habitat houses. So the group I'm working with is about to go into this photo story thing, and they could easily be brought into UNSCENE and maybe even as a proposal for a project.
I want to talk to you, but my wife was just telling me about this project. She works for community renewal.
Right.
And that's funny that you say that, because I was like, she's telling me about that exact project, and I was like, well, there's countless photographers who would knock that out of the park. But that also I've seen done, this popular method, the method I heard, I've seen done very poorly. And as far as, for a brief summary, as far as it pertains to artists, the quality of the art, in this case photography, and somebody to oversee that in a graphic design sense should make that campaign that is very effective in maintaining these homes that were put there for these people that were hugely impactful to the area, making them sustainable long-term and stay there and not being run over by an interstate.
Art is, in a way, always about telling your story. And when we interact with the low-income groups that need to become self-aware of options, there is a balance between being an artist, giving them cameras and letting them produce their own work, and the options that are created, and then the editing part of fine art. And so I think an expansive action with neighborhoods and community is kind of first, and or even simultaneous but separate to fine art.
All right. Pam, does she have something else you wanted to talk about? I'm done with this one. What you got? 3 more minutes? What? I'm sorry. Move on? You want me to do these things? Because I'm at a point where I want to continue the dialogue and allow people to have these conversations. But I don't know how important it is to do it in this sort of form or not, unless you guys have something you really want to tackle.
We're talking about partnering with organizations, and I know you all have a big project with the Shreveport Symphony, the composing and music.
Right.
And I was actually commissioned from two occasions to interpret an opera at the New Orleans City of the Performing Arts in painting, and also in Kennedy Center for Beethoven's music. And it would be interesting sometimes for some of these organizations to invite or encourage competition to for the arts, the visual arts to be part of it.
To participate in the symphony? In a commission work?
Or even a production.
Okay, cool. We'll put that on the list. And if you want to put that in your proposal, I believe it's got a giant stack of paper here for you guys.
Maybe this and the other,
Right.
this in New Orleans and DC,
That's awesome.
What we hope in this transition of the conversation about how we move forward is that when Brandon starts talking. Now when Brandon starts talking about the rest of the ideas, everyone's been talking about, you could do this, why don't you try that? We really want to bring it in now to what you would do. That's why we were saying, who do you want to work with? So as we start moving through these other ideas and coming back to the residencies and saying, all right, if Shepherd Ferry is going to be here, well, all right, that in itself is a great thing, but how does it become a way to permanently engage Shreveport Common, engage you as an artist in Shreveport Common? What are the ways that becomes a day for the public to experience and taste and see and feel Shreveport Common? So let's try not to make it quite so third person the rest of the time, so someone else is going to do that, as if you're suggesting an idea that you just think the elves are going to take care of. It sometimes happens. There are no elves. I have yet to find them. It's us. It's everybody here. It's everybody you put up on the board. And it's everybody that you've acknowledged our communication hasn't reached. But it needs to start moving to an I want to, I think I could, I think we could, because the stack of paper is really trying to be as open-ended as possible about the fact that you're seeing what we know today. You're seeing what we know, as we know, and you are, because you're also filling out your little address card, and that basket keeps going around. Every time we learn something new, we're going to send it out to you as an email blast. We're going to, right as soon as we know it, you're going to be on that list to get information that says, you were here, and because you were here, you need to know that this artist changed to this month or that month. And so I hate to pass out the paper yet when I still believe that it is important that now it become personal to you, and I think that's what the whole day is about, is how do you see this as your event, and that could be an extension of the residency or all the ideas we've been talking about. It's just that don't assume that if you say, you could try this, the goal is connect with someone in the room and let them go, that's mine, I want to do it, who will do it with me? That's where we are. Chris?
My might I suggest a method for achieving that? As we make this Google Doc and it becomes something that exists online, that if somebody sees an idea, they can write their name next to it, or it might be something that needs a form or a survey kind of thing, but allowing people to put their names by something, and then from that list, they can be a part of an email chain or a closed Facebook group or whatever it is that allows people to communicate.
Okay, so Chris is saying, and Lauren, I need to see you or Lisa tell me this is doable. Okay, Chris is saying our one form of communication is a Google Doc that everyone can engage and can continue keeping it active. It's not just us telling you something, it's you engaging it and populating it. Yes? Okay.
So rather than a Google Doc, since we're apparently going to collaborate on this, why don't we try to set up a wiki? I'd be happy to do most of the legwork for that, and someone else will help me administer it, because then you won't have the problem of someone accidentally deleting all the stuff that everyone else wrote.
Well, how about we do this? How about we'll kick this whole thing off by saying you and I will connect after this, and we'll come up with a way to do it, and we propose it to you guys. How about that? Does that sound good?
James Martin and Chris Lyons have agreed to meet after this, and if you all will embrace that, we're going to come up with a system. Okay, back to you, Brandon. You go ahead. Catherine, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Nadine and I and Debbie Eagle a little bit about 2-3 years ago, we started a project when it was discovered that the Shreveport Regional Arts Council was going to be relocated here, called Texas Avenue Midnight Special. We wanted to go in and document the area and see what was going on. So we actually walked the streets and we actually spent the night 3 nights. At night on Texas Avenue in the neighborhood. It's amazing by how few people there are out at midnight, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I think as an artist,
I did not have beer.
Do what?
You did not offer beer.
Beer? No beer. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, we didn't have any alcohol. But
David Nelson offered us apples, though.
Yeah, we did get David Nelson. But I think for me as an artist, I can't make art in a particular area about a particular area if I don't know it. And I think it's one thing to look at the map, but if I've not gotten out and physically walked the area, you know, if we want to lead tours and things, I can do that.
Okay, wait, Catherine, you have hit such a nutshell. Let me at least say it. On Tuesday, everybody write this down, and again, I will email it. Thank you. On Tuesday, August 6th. Tuesday, August the 6th, at 7, is it 6 or 7 p.m.? Okay. It's at 7 p.m., so it'll be cool enough. Now, you would meet here. We will have beer and wine and sodas and cheese, and Gregory and Catherine can lead you on a tour of Shreveport Common. Gregory, our designer for Shreveport Common, Brandon is going to do it, Wendy's going to be here, and thank you for reminding me because you're exactly right. We wanted to walk it today, but so 7 p.m., Tuesday, August 6th, meet here. We'll have a little light refreshment while it cools down, and then we'll do a walking tour, and maybe Catherine, you'll help us by recording it a little bit too, so it could go on whatever James and Chris create.
Okay, if we have information, you know, Matthew Lynn, I just saw that he walked in. Politicians, I don't know if they do this anymore, but back in the olden days, you had to really get in good shape because you walked the streets, you would go to or have a representative and you'd knock on every door to get them to vote for you. I mean, if we want to get information to people that live in the neighborhood, that have businesses in the neighborhood, I mean, we could, that's an old-fashioned, low-tech way. But.
And you could, just so you know too, that's really what I do. So, you know, I've got names if you want. I'll let them know that y'all are gonna be out walking that night, so y'all won't scare people, but actually be really excited to see you. And, you know, if you want to knock on doors, let me know so I can at least tell people that you're doing that.
And after that's done, seriously, we have connections with people that we wouldn't have connections with in any other way. We know a lot of people down here because we did that by ourselves. So if you're interested in working in the area, it's really important to be done it by yourself and do it alone after that. Not, I think.
It is, but as Brandon said in the beginning, some of the places we want to go, we have got to pave the way to go. Right now there are some tent cities in Shreveport Common. there are some, what's happening there? There are some, you know, again, that's what UNSCENE is about, let's do it for 2 years and everybody's a cultural community neighborhood. But Nadine, I'm hoping that you and Catherine are saying you'll pave the way for people who want that more intimate experience after the walk on their own. Jane?
Yeah, I was just going to say, a bit along the lines of what you were saying. I think a lot of people want to do a lot of this stuff, but quite often they don't want to be the one that actually does it themselves. So team leaders, definitely, people who are like, I'll step up the play, come to me, I'll mentor you, I'll do this, I'll do that or something. So like Catherine and Nadine are leading the way that way, like me, maybe the fashion stuff or something like that with the kids. But definitely people who are willing to step up the play for people to is
yes. And I think we can always do a once-a-month walk that at least deals with the rich architectural heritage, the who lived in this house before now, what Wendy, the music history and heritage. That's the kind of walk we'll be starting on Tuesday, August 6th. We're going to send you a flyer in just a second. Kelly, then Ashley?
Last year, the Texas Community Association had an app that does just
yes.
that. So if you want to download, I think it's only on Apple products, but it's called Texas Avenue Speaks, and it's basically meant to be a walking tour of Texas Avenue. And it has little pinpoints that give all the history, background, music, photos.
Texas Avenue Speaks by the Texas Avenue Community Association, TACA, and it is online and it is an app. Yes, you could use that to get started from the 800 block here, which is right in the corner here, all the way to Stoner. They have taken it all the way to Murphy Street. I
do have one request though, and that is, some of the neighbors, don't know about this because you're the first part of it. So I just,
for the online.
some of you realize, right, that there are neighbors out there that may not be interested if approached the wrong way about orange painting on the side of their buildings or this whole idea. I mean, just because they live here doesn't mean that they, buy into it right away. So I would ask for you too, in those instances, is let us pave the way, because we've talked to them in terms of who their friends are and what their interests are and things that can give them confidence in the project. So, I'm just want you to know who all the neighbors are, but just don't be telling Louise Burton we're going to come paint on her building because she may not react to that the same way as somebody else might.
But if you went to Louise and you said, Louise, could we talk about what you would love for me to paint on your building? Yes. That might be a different conversation.
I think listening is really important before you talk.
Thank you. All right, Brandon, you want to bring it up? I'm sorry.
I don't know how much more you want to say, but I did just download the Texas Avenue Speaks app, and it's pretty awesome. So I didn't know about this, and I'd love to know more about who developed it. And
Gary Joyner with the
awesome.
Texas
Very cool.
And April Vaughn. Hey, Ashley, I'm sorry.
So I just wanted to go back to talking about that and continuing on what Jane was saying. How, and I don't know, how are we going about through the months, for the activities? I want to start making stuff and be part of it, but who is in charge of say that month? Who would I talk to about saying, hey, I want to do this a part of this month, and then this is your main activity? Who do I approach to say I would like to do this?
Sure. So let's say each one of these sort of headliner connections with national artists on these months. Some of these things are still moving chess pieces. It's sort of a wet piece of clay. And as we start to solidify that, we're going to connect you. But if you want to be connected to one of them, that's where those boxes come in, and we get you in the right list so that you're aware of it, and there's a connection you can make, a meaningful connection. And then there will always be a call related to that event. And then outside of that, there's the residency, of course, but then there's the actual sub-events that augment that month and that feel appropriate for that month.
I guess that's actually what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Who should I approach about a different event in that month?
Okay.
Is that a website that is that going to be where we can interact that way?
Well, That's something that just came out of this conversation that I think it would be very helpful just for every high body to have one place to go where they can see the information as it changes in real time, and you start to see what the national acts are, local acts are, the months that they're dropping into, and we update that on a regular basis so it becomes clearer and clearer every day. I think that's a critical way to keep us all going together on this.
And if you have an interest in the residency portion of it,
yeah,
you can contact me. I'll be doing all the residencies with the National Arts. If you have a question pertaining directly to one of these cats, Josh at ShrevepportCommon.
Okay, so we can all hear it. The residency portion of the projects, the SHRAC staff, technical member of the SHRAC staff is Josh Porter, right there. And he'll be working with Brandon, and his email is josh@shrevearts.org. But this is the piece that's being passed out to you right now that I think will answer some of those questions. We are accepting applications, and this is a draft, and it says draft all the way through. The reason that it's a draft is because we've got to get all of your great ideas in it, and we didn't have the meeting first, but we wanted you to see how we're thinking and how you'll be communicating so that we can all be successful. This will go on, whatever James and Chris create for us, hopefully, if it can be done by Friday. Is that reasonable to think that by Friday we could communicate back about today, or is that? Sure. Okay. If that's reasonable, then our goal is that by Friday. Now, what we've done in this packet is to try to get you thinking. And I think the best thing you can do would be to look at the last page first. Because the very last page is why we're all meeting today. It says, here's what I want to do. Every other page is what somebody else has already thought of, put on Facebook, sent to us, or it's a best practice that we've seen in what's going on in other cities and has been promoted at conferences, or it's an idea that has come from the conversations that we've had with national artists. So every other page is someone else's idea. You're welcome. We hope you'll like some of those ideas. But if you don't, this is your page, and that's where you should start. We're willing to hear all ideas. And the reason that we've also asked the artist team to come in is that the people reviewing your ideas are right here. Brandon is the first reviewer of the ideas. And we have Poetic X, you've all been hearing him. We have Diego Martinez and Ashley Clark. You've been hearing them. They'll be the first on digital media and on film. And they don't mind you calling them. And then we'll also have Brady Blade on music, and we'll have Angelique Feaster-Evans in theater and performance and dance. Theater, dance, and other performance storytelling is what I'm trying to get at. So they are willing for you to ask them questions. They are going to be part of the jury, but again, this is not a yes or a no process. It's a feedback process. And here's the way we're asking you for feedback. You have until the end, that's midnight, the last day of every month to turn in a proposal. The last day of every month, that's the deadline at midnight to turn in a proposal. We then have a solid month to think about what you're suggesting, to review it, to call you and ask questions, to call you and say, hey, we see what you want to do, but 4 people did it before, and we think it's time for something different. Can we work with you on this and shape or shift it? And by the 30th day of the next month at midnight, you'll have an answer. A for sure answer, this is what we can do, okay? So as I've given you, if you, again, now, I have a terrible problem in drafts of never numbering a page, and I'm sorry about that, but just, I want to get you to flip through to the 4th page. Wait a minute, is that 4 or 3? That's the 3rd page, excuse me. It says eligibility. There's one thing under eligibility. You got to be on the directorate. That's it. You got to be on the directorate. That tells us you're an artist. You got 10 works of art that you can show us digitally, and you have an artist statement, and you have a bio. And that's what we're going to use when we promote you. So if you don't update that and keep that fresh and keep it the way you want to be reflected, that is what we're going to in terms of looking at your samples of work. of your previous work history. You got to be on the directory. That's how we're using the directory. But look at that next statement, okay? If you submit an idea on August the 31st at midnight, by midnight, then by midnight on September the 30th, we're going to tell you yes or no. That means you can't submit an idea in August for September. We all together on that? You've got to be a month ahead of yourself in order for us to shape this, in order for us to get this worked out with you. You have to give yourself at least a 30-day start on it. So if you submit for in August, you would be hoping to do something in October. But you could submit now for something you want to do in June. I mean, if you, excuse me, really know you want to be working with Teresa Anderson and you want to help her fabricate that dome with Arthur Mintz and you want to be a part of what's going to happen around that experience, go ahead, submit now, tell us you're interested. You don't have to wait a month before. It's just that if you do wait a month before, you cannot submit in October and expect to work in November. So when's the earliest you could work if you submit in September? What's the earliest month you could work? Anyone, everyone? November, that's right. And so, again, your submission gives us a month. It says, I want to work with you. It says, I want to do this. You may not have all the answers, and that's okay. But we know what you're serious about pursuing. Now, every other page in between are all the other ideas. So, there's scavenger hunts we could create. Someone's already said, let's do a geocaching. Someone said, let's do one with QR codes. There are parades that can be done. You saw Nick Cave and his work with costumes, and I hope that he creates this incredible costumed event for us. Wayne, Wayne White, who also might be creating a movement experience all the way down this area. So maybe you would want to create your own parade. Maybe you want to create a way, again, Catherine has already said she could help you walk the neighborhood. Maybe that's a project you want to create, is to help the public walk the neighborhood. And you would expand upon what's already been done with the app, but find your own way of saying, I'm going to tell the stories of this neighborhood. We talked over here about storytelling and about creating possibly an environment or finding a way for the Moth Project to work. We hope we've given you a lot. But everything you said today, unless you come up to me and say, that was proprietary, I don't want anyone to know about the Moth Project because I want that all for myself, and I want to put it on the last page, everything you said is going to go not only here and here with James and Chris, and what they come up with, but it's also going to then become ideas for the call so we can stimulate as many ideas and as much thinking as possible to participate. And the only other thing is that if there's one word that would describe unseen, there are a couple of sentences, obviously, and you know I love the pun of uns, but the reality is that it's only going to be sustained if it's collaborative. If everyone's just trying to do their own thing, you will burn out in a year. You'll tell yourself, I can do 6 or 7 of these months and make some money, but you'll burn out. But if you form some cadres of friends and people, that's why we keep putting up here, who's not here that you want to work with, who's locally not here that you think would be a good collaborator so that we could all reach out. But this is really about collaboration. It is not about you working on someone else's team for them as their servant or as their fabricator. It's really about how do we work together and use one another's best strengths and conserve some energy. That's why you see things in here like we're looking for up to 5 artists per residency. Up to 5 artists will be working on the residencies. As Brandon's told you, some artists, I think it'd be fair to say, at this point in time, every artist that we've spoken to has said, I'm really more interested in a 2-week residency than a month. I don't see myself being able to come into anywhere and give a month of my time, but give me 10 to 14 days and we can make something wonderful. So that's why, again, you see that we're paying by the week because we have to be a little bit flexible. We don't know how long they're all going to last. So does that give you some sense without fighting you off? Again, really every page is just a different subject, and if there's one a part of any application, I don't care whether you're applying to the National Endowment for the Arts or whether you're applying to this, There are basically, honestly, 3 questions that everybody wants to know. Number 1, how do I know this is an art experience or project? It's not a social service project. It's not it's about art. And how do I know it's about art? And someone give me the number 1 way we know a project is about art. Anyone call it out? Pardon me? It's individual. And how do people look at what's an art project?
It's being done by an artist.
Thank you, James. It's being done by an artist. So the first thing that the jury's going to look at is, are you an artist? What are you doing? What does your work look like? And where are they going for that? They're going to the directory to see what you've got on the directory to speak about yourself as an artist. That's always the number 1 question, is it art? The second thing they're looking at to determine is it art is, what are you doing? Is there something unique to it? Is there something that's happening with your work that couldn't be happening any other way all over town? What is it that pulls you out and makes this a unique experience? The second thing everyone wants to know, again, if you write any kind of a grant or any kind of proposal, or you try to get someone to sponsor you, the second thing is, how does the community benefit? We've asked that question by asking you, what is the about this? What's unexpected? What's unprecedented? What was uncanny, unabashed? And how does your accomplish our mission? And I told you when I first stood up here, our mission is to generate vibrancy in Shreveport Common. And we believe the only way to generate vibrancy is to put artists at the helm of that activity. Whatever it is, it's got to be about artists. So that's a question we're asking you. How are you generating vibrancy in Shreveport Common? And then the third question always is going to be, in life, you ask it yourself, what does it cost, right? You always ask that question. I want this. I'd love to have it. I think my life will be much better for it. What does it cost? Can I afford it? And I will just say, we've tried to say, from the very beginning and up front, we have $500,000 for 12 months. Someone can do the math and divide that up, and I think you're going to find that you've got $60,000 a month. Is that right? Because I can't do the math on my feet in front of an audience. Someone has got to be able to do that for me. Is it 40,000? I need to get 3 more grants. I need to get it to where we have $60,000 a month. But you can see how quickly that goes if you've got an artist coming in town, if you've got 5 local artists each making $2,000, if you've got individual artists who 4 or 5 of them are going to create and debut their own work of art that month, if you've got a scavenger hunt, if you've got a parade, if you've got you can see that this money could get spent quickly. It is more money than we've had in this arts community for one project in a long time. I'm not sure I can remember one in my lifetime, but spread over 12 months, it's about $60,000, $50,000 to $60,000 a month, and that includes paying for security. Sorry, you got to pay for police. You got to have a couple of porta potties. You got to have some overtime of people who are going to clean up and empty trash cans. So everything is included in that amount of money. So it is important to know what is it going to cost. And if you think you can deliver a few things at less, or some things are going to require more, then we just need to know that so we can set our budget for the month. So has anyone flipped through enough to be able to say, okay, I got a question about this? Great. Has anyone flipped through enough to go, okay, now I get why we were writing all these ideas and voting for them? Because the bottom line is, it's not what Shrike's going to do, it's not what Brandon's going to do, it's what I'm going to do. And the chance was for me to hear what the rest of the room thinks would be viable. Have you had a chance to make that connection yet? Okay, we'll make that connection, because that's really where we want to go. And is anyone ready to ask Brandon more questions now about the residencies or about any other part of what we're doing for the next year? You don't even want to hear from Brandon? Oh my gosh! Okay, that must mean it's enough. Sharon? I was just gonna say, would you be willing to go on through the rest of the months and start with culinary? Who all's ready to go back to the chart?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes? All right, that's where they are, great.
Thanks, man.
I did want to ask one question before we do that. Each of these months, when we have somebody coming in, do they have something specific that they want us to do, or is the only one that's doing that is the printing? Do they already have something, or did you want us to create something to support incorporating that?
Well, and certainly I think more ideas help at this stage because it's very, like I said, a wet piece of clay when it comes to our dialogue with them. A few of them, I've proposed to a few of them, sort of top line things, just to get the conversation started. Like this Shepherd Ferry and making an augmented reality app. But when it comes to Rich Table and making an edible garden, or forest alert, we would call it, I think there's that, but I think it's wide open. If you can think of a meaningful residency with some of these national artists, awesome, great. But that's not what it's all about. It's also about what you as an individual artist can bring to the table that month in a meaningful way. And keep saying that. But it's good to know what else is happening in a month and the kind of weather we're going to be experiencing so that we get as much exposure for it as possible. Cool. So again, we were going down the list, and I'm glad that everybody wants to participate in this further. Culinary. There was a couple of things that were starting those.
Local food, wegrowtogether.com. I think that has the most fire.
Local food. Yeah, taking advantage of relationships with local food providers, farmers in a meaningful way. And that's actually what Rich Table's mission statement is all about. So it's good to see that. Right.
So it's been wonderfully educational.
So that's one note, that's a great note, because culinary can start sooner than the actual event. And so the sooner we have an idea on the ingredients, the desired sort of event meal, we can start community engagement now to grow and cultivate the proper ingredients, for example.
For the culinary, it'd be nice to see any kind of little place around the commons that could grow something that's edible to something about the corner and the rosemary bush. Something that could be sustainable.
Yes.
And so people could have tea or whatever.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah, we got to do that.
So just to say, you've got to know that Mercy Center really wants to do it. We think it'd be a cool temporary public art project. That you don't have to think about public art again in a box like that. Mercy Center's anxious to start growing. They're doing a little bit of growing, and they're a partner who'd like to get with you right now.
Cool. That's great. All right. Anything else related to culinary?
Another partner is wegrowtogether.org.
Wegrowtogether.org?
Yeah. And that's on.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I guess we can move on to the, yes, sir.
There's a coordinator of community gardens, Grace. I can't think of her.
Grace Peterson?
Grace Peterson.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. That's us.
Awesome.
And also the Pajama Art Society, Leah, I don't know her last name.
Leah Lewis.
Yes. That was somebody else that was going to go this year. Now that I'm thinking about it on there.
There's a Master Gardeners group in town. I don't know a contact person.
Master Gardeners.
Master Gardeners.
Gracie Peterson. Gracie Peterson.
Grace.
Got it. Sculpture.
I would like to see rotating, portable public sculptures in unexpected places like disused pylons and filling stations and underserved areas. Stuff made out of, say, aluminum or fiberglass that would be vandal resistant enough that could be easily moved by a small team from place to place so that it surprises and unsettles.
So movable sculpture.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Cool.
I'm going to read the ones here. There's two of them that have a lot of stars.
Okay. What are the two?
Believe Outdoor Art creates sculpture from a poem, music, or short story by local artist or team. And the second one is a piece that can be added and subtracted from by viewers over time.
So yeah, to start with that first one, yeah, having